Welcome back. As you know, in this section of the course, we've been talking about self-responsibility as the first habit of a stable and happy marriage. The idea is that you become a healthy and mature marriage partner as you're willing to own responsibility for your needs, feelings, perceptions, and behavior. Well, one important aspect of this is learning emotional self-regulation, the topic of this lesson. Emotional self-regulation is learning to soothe and process your feelings when you're upset. This requires that you understand your feelings and that you learn to manage them in healthy ways. If you can do this, you can maintain a positive connection to your spouse, even during conflict or in the middle of negative emotions. If not able to do this, then you run the risk of saying and doing things that will break off your connection and damage or cause distance in your relationship. Frankly, people who are able to manage their emotions are more successful in all areas of their lives. So think for a moment about what triggers you in your marriage. What happens or what does your spouse do or say that may upset you? And what do you typically do when you're upset? Some people fight and lash out, others run emotionally by withdrawing into themselves, others ignore and pretend that everything's okay. Well, it's important to become aware of your tendencies. Self-regulation is becoming more aware. And as you become more aware, you need options to interrupt old negative habits of feeling and replace them with new and more empowering habits. And to that end, I'm going to give you some suggestions. So these are suggestions that you can use to self-soothe, to not always think that your partner needs to change or to soothe you in some way, but you find ways of soothing yourself. One is to stop ruminating. This is rehashing an incident over and over again in your mind. Ruminating and brooding just fuel negative emotions like anger, hurt, and resentment. They're the opposite of self-soothing and cause you to feel aggrieved and justified in your negativity. So ask yourself if ruminating and holding on to your negative feelings is helping or hurting. Is it strengthening or weakening to you in your relationship? Is that what you want? And then ask yourself what you can do instead. You want to do something that's going to help you de-escalate your negative feelings and also help you understand what's happening in a different way. What happens when you become upset is that there's your physiology, your sympathetic nervous system that goes into high gear. Your heart rate increases, your muscles tighten, your blood pressure goes up, your sweat glands secrete more fluid, and so on. And these responses are helpful if you can take immediate action, like if you're being chased by a saber-toothed tiger. But that isn't usually the case. Instead, you want to take steps, some kind of action to help you calm down. And this includes things like pause, become aware of your breathing. Take a few minutes to notice your in-breaths and your out-breaths. Count them if you like, or just watch them until you find yourself calming down. It sometimes helps to do an in-breath through your nose and an out-breath through your mouth. Or here's another little breathing technique. Imagine that you're making a box. You breathe in for a count of 4, hold for a count of 4, exhale for a count of 4, and hold for a count of 4. And you just continue like that until you're able to feel yourself calming down. Paying attention to your breathing does two things. First, gives you a focus to divert your attention from your ruminating or negative thinking. And secondly, it helps calm your body. Well, another technique that you can use to soothe yourself is to do a body scan. You can start with your head and go all the way down to your toes. And notice any physical sensations, particularly any place where you feel tension. Breathe into those places to relax them. Be aware, particularly of any tension in your forehead, in your jaw, or in your shoulders, and make it a point to relax them. You can also soothe yourself in other ways, such as listening to music. It could be music to calm you, or sometimes, if you need, to energize you if you find yourself really falling into a funk. But put on some music that you love and allow it to help shift your emotional state. Practice visualization is another technique to shift your emotional state. Imagine being in a place that makes you feel at ease. Be there and notice the sounds and sights and sensations that accompany this place. Take it all in and enjoy it. You can also call a friend or call somebody. You don't necessarily have to just tell them about what's just been going on, but talking to somebody not involved in what's upsetting can help shift your emotional state. In actuality, the number of things that you can do to shift your negative energy are really pretty endless. Go for a walk, take a bath, exercise. The idea is to do something, almost anything, to shift your physiological and emotional state from agitation and upset to a more calm and peaceful state. In addition to finding ways to calm yourself, it's helpful to understand your emotions. What are you feeling? Can you put a label on it? Psychologists have a popular saying, if you can name it, you can tame it. By naming your feelings, you not only understand them, but you begin to take away their power. And yet dealing with feelings is hard for lots of people who understandably want to avoid their negative emotions. But I want to remind you of the saying, what you resist persists. Avoiding your feelings doesn't make them go away. You'll either act them out in more aggressive ways, or they'll go underground and come out in more harmful ways, like aches and pains and illness, or even irritability or sadness or shutting down, or even engaging in destructive avoidance or addictive behaviors like excessive drinking and drugs and gambling, media consumption, abusing other people, pornography, and so on. So I'm asking you to pay more attention to your emotions. And often this is just a short pause in which you ask yourself what you're feeling at the moment, and then look inward at the physical sensations and feelings in your body. The idea is to give your feelings space, not to try to get rid of them. Relax into them. Allow them to be. It's okay to feel anxiety or fear or irritation, whatever it might be. Be compassionate about how you feel as a way of taking care of yourself when you notice persistent negative emotion. You're taking responsibility for yourself as you learn to pay attention to your negative emotions and give yourself options to soothe and calm yourself. Well, there's one more aspect of emotional self-regulation that I want to talk about, and that is learning to challenge and reframe your thinking. How you think is actually the fuel behind your negative emotions, and so being able to challenge your thinking is critical to self-regulation, and I want to talk about that in the next lesson.